far as I'm concerned, I see being in Europe, and I'm looking at this from a financial point of view, the way it affects our taxes, which affects the way that the average person, the money that is spent per person, like on education, health, transport, all these things, that we are being disadvantaged. Now you know as well as I do, I'm sure you do, that it's something like £1.4 million per hour goes to Europe.
That's right.
There's a thing called the Barnett formula, which its name has now been changed by the Prime Minister, and they now call it the Union dividend. So just in a stroke, he's ended the Barnett formula. It's called the Union dividend. But it's currently running, and it's been running for 30 years. It was only intended for 1 year. It's been running for 30 years, and it means that at the moment they're getting £12 billion a year. Now, if you work that out...
What, the Scottish?
Yeah, Scotland. And
from English taxpayers?
On English taxpayers' money. And that works out at £1.37 million per hour.
Nearly as much as we give to the EU.
It's as much as we give. There was a gentleman called Joel Barnett in the government at that time. And so he came up with this idea, look, for 1 year, we will give them £8.5 billion to help them and boost them. That sounds great, let's be generous, get the poor up a bit. But the Scots thought, this is a jolly good idea, and they've kept it on. And it's been going on for 30 years under the name of the Barnett formula. And Joel Barnett is now Lord Barnett. And he said only last year, it's become an embarrassment because it was only intended for 1 year. Now, as I've just pointed out to you, it's the same amount, basically, that we are giving to Europe.
So is there a link to getting out of Europe in this?
Well, yes, there is a link in this. All I'm saying is that if we're going to appeal to young people, they've got to understand that this is large sums of money which could be more better to improve their lives. Look at the situation. If we don't come out of Europe in the first place, you and I are wasting our time. Why are we doing this? Because on the maps of Europe already, there's no England. The European have produced maps where there's no England. There's a Scotland, Wales, Ireland, no England, just the 9 regions. And where we are sitting at the moment, we will come on we'll be under the Pas du Nord at Lille. That will be the centre of the region we're in. That's what's going to happen to the English.
Back in the 70s, when I was growing up,
yes,
I used to read the local papers, and there were things like, you can't say manhole cover
yes,
anymore.
yeah,
You can't say blackboard. And we used to laugh.
yeah,
What was that all about? You can't
Yeah.
say blackboard.
yeah.
But look how it's escalated since then. The things today. You're frightened to look at somebody the wrong way in the street without,
That's right.
without being called
Yes,
a racist.
yes, that's
It's
right.
absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
There are people coming into this country that have got more rights than you and me.
Yeah,
People that come into this country from Europe now are getting more benefits than our own pensioners.
yes,
They come into this country, and it is EU law, which people know nothing about, that they must be housed, but not just any old house. That house has to have central heating.
yeah,
It has to have a colour TV
yeah,
with a television not less than 21 inches. They must have a telephone and their bill paid. The TV licence must be paid. They must have a car. Can you believe that? And look at what our pensioners are on now. They're on a pittance. We pay 1.4 million per hour, as we said earlier, into the EU, which nobody knows about.
Yeah.
More than 14 billion per year we're giving to the EU.
yeah,
Now that money, if we stop paying that, a minimum would halve our poll tax, give our pensioners an extra £25 a week. That's just to begin with. Now we're the 4th largest economy in the world. Why are we closing hospital wards? Why are we closing police stations? It doesn't make sense.
Oh no. A classic example. An old lady in England, let's say she might be 75, something like that. She was married, her husband's died. He may have fought in the Second World War, I don't know, but he's died. She's reached the stage in life where she's got to go into an old folks' home. And so the children apply to the local government or to the government for financial support. But when they look into it, the old lady's got about £10,000 of nest egg, and she lives in a little house that she owns. No, we can't give you any money until you spend all that £10,000 and sold your house, which has got to go to pay for you. Now we shift to beyond the border in Scotland. the same type of family, an old Scottish lady, has got to go into a nursing home. She lives in a little house. She's got about 10,000. Got 2 children. Just the same. The children apply and they say, "Yeah, so we can put her in the home straight away." No, that won't cost you anything. The state will look after her.
Well, that's outrageous. That's got to stop.
Right. Oh, now the situation even worse. The old lady in England, her son, has suddenly got an illness because he's getting on a bit too. He's in his 50s. He's got an illness that requires a special medicine or a special. Oh no, the National Health Service can't afford to do that. We can't get it. And strangely enough, the son in Scotland, he's got a very similar complaint. It needs a special medicine. Oh, that's no problem. Yeah, we get it on the National Health. And they can do it.
But why is this allowed to happen? And there's education.
That's right.
Free university education in Scotland. And I also found out that the people from Ireland are going across to Scotland also free.
Free.
On our taxpayers' money.
Europeans are going up there free, and that's my story, you see. So listen what I'm saying to you. I agree 100% with you.
Why do we allow it to happen?
Well, we've lost control. You see, the Parliament now, what we call the Parliament that we have, and I've said all our politicians, there's 646 there. They go there, they're being whipped into the lobbies. You're being told what to do. If you don't do it, you become an independent on your own. We don't want to know you, so they're frightened of that because they've got good jobs. They're going to have very good pensions. So that's the line they go down. And all they're doing is rubber stamping the European laws that are coming in. I gather in the last...
See, now I thought all our laws were made at Westminster.
So did I.
by our MPs.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're not, are
No,
they?
they're not. No. It's the Europeans. And I remember I heard one of our European members saying that they have something like 50 minutes or so to rubber stamp 40 laws that have got to go through. And he said you virtually go in there and say aye, nay, aye, and that's the way that they're doing it in Europe. And we are living under these conditions that our members of Parliament, that we, the ordinary people of England and Scotland and Wales, we go once every 4 years, we put an X on a bit of paper and we say we're a democracy. And it's a load of rubbish. Democracy is a word which is...
Because, I mean, I wasn't into politics a few months ago. I was like everybody else. I come across a TV channel, politics, and I completely switched off. I wasn't interested.
Yeah.
But something happened, and I thought, what is going on? I must look into this.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely not right.
Yeah.
And I looked into it. This is when I found out we're putting 14 billion a year into the European Commission, which is split between Strasbourg and Brussels.
Yeah.
Apparently they actually load it onto trucks in removal vans
Yes.
and move it from one place to the other
Yeah.
at a cost to us. I mean, they're treating us like a cash machine. But the thing is, the three main political parties now, if you can call them that, Liberal, Labour, Conservative, you couldn't put a fag paper between their policies.
No.
They all talk the same, they look the same, everything about them is the same.
No.
Not one of them will say anything bad about us being in the European Union. And if you ask any questions about what's going on, you're made to feel that you're the one with a problem.
I look at my local taxes here. It's now over £1,000, and what do I get? I get my bins emptied every 2 weeks, or one once a
Now
week.
you mentioned bin collection. 2 week. Who decided there was going to be a 2 week bin collection?
Local? Was it local?
It wasn't local government.
No.
Like people think.
It was in Europe.
Nothing to do with the council. Nothing to do with Westminster.
No.
It's a landfill directive that's come straight from Brussels.
Right.
I couldn't believe it. I had to write to the local papers to ask what was going on.
Yeah.
Apparently, Brussels now, these unelected politicians, they call themselves politicians, they come up with this directive, the landfill directive, and they actually tell us what we can put in our own landfill.
Yeah.
And if we put over that amount into our landfill, then they're going to fine us.
Yeah.
They're going to fine us in the UK for putting too much rubbish in our landfill. And to get round that, apparently we export at a cost to the taxpayer millions of pounds each year, our own waste to China on ships to bury in their landfill, so we don't incur fines from Brussels.
Yeah.
Now, we've been told it's to help recycling. Well, if you only have your bins collected twice a month, then you'll recycle more. That's absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
No pun intended. In 1875, there was an Act of Parliament, refuse collection.
Yeah.
That entitled the people of this country to have their refuse collection once a week.
Yeah.
And it was to stop the spread of typhoid and all sorts of
Yeah.
diseases.
Yeah.
Now, they're saying we're having to go on to 2-week bin collections. Who repealed that Act of Parliament? You vote for a political party of your choice.
Yes.
The ones that represent your views, that party gets voted into power.
Yes.
They go to the Queen and ask to form a government.
Yeah.
So they're loyal to the Crown,
Yeah.
sovereign,
Yeah.
and they're loyal to the people of this country,
Yes.
and they should put the views and the laws of this country
Yeah.
before anything else. But we've been lied to, continually lied to.
Oh yeah.
Our laws and rights of the people of this country have been sold away into this corrupt European Commission that is corrupt. This country alone is putting over 14 billion a year into it,
Yes.
and where is this money going? They're so corrupt they haven't had their accounts written off for the last 12 years.
Well, I'll tell
That
you.
is totally outrageous in itself. These people are unelected, you cannot get them out.
Yeah.
Once we're in, we cannot get these people out.
No.
Now, if these other treaties go through, more of our rights go across, this country is going to have one European police force, one European army, one European currency, one European flag, one European national anthem. We can't vote these people out. We've had it. It's end of game.
Yeah.
People in this country need to wake up and smell the coffee. We're just like a giant cash machine in the UK.
Yeah.
They lean across the English Channel with a card, put it in. How much should we get
Yeah.
out the UK now? All we're doing is supporting countries like Bulgaria, Budapest, all the poorer countries in
Yeah.
Europe. They're just using us as a cash cow.
Oh, but you wait till they want their pensions equal to ours.
Well, you say that about pensions. Apparently now we're going to pay for the pensioners in Spain.
Yes.
Spain hasn't got any funds to pay for their own pensions.
Yeah.
So that money is going to come from English taxpayers.
Yeah.
We're going to be paying for Spanish pensions.
Isn't it amazing?
It's absolutely mad, like
But you
everything
see-
else.
Mr. Brown is now our Prime Minister. He, with other Scottish members of Parliament, they signed a declaration to the Scottish Constitution that their loyalties would be to the Scottish people above all others.
Mm.
Now, he comes down, he sees the Queen, he's become Prime Minister. What about any oath to the Queen, to the English people, to the Welsh people, the Irish people? Or is it still his oath to the Scottish people as Prime Minister?
Well, I don't know.
But isn't it amazing? How do these people stay in office?
Exactly. So when we haven't got a government that we can't vote in to
Yeah.
represent us, when we've got this dictatorship
Hmm.
that we fought 2 world wars for,
Yeah.
you know, to stay a democracy, what's going to happen then? What's going to happen to the people of this country? Well, they, you know, suddenly look up from their Sun newspaper or turn EastEnders off and say, well, hang on a minute, I've missed something there. It's all happened so quick.
Our young people today, they're like their grandfathers, that they keep turning to the sports page instead of once now and again just have a look at some of the real figures that are affecting their lives. You don't have to become a politician. You don't have to be boring. This is all that's
Well,
required.
perhaps our youngsters will wake up when they get conscripted into an EU army, which will happen.
Well,
It happens in Europe. Once we get fully integrated into Europe, our children here in this country will be conscripted into a European army.
well, I'm very sad what's happening to the army now. That in Iraq and up in Afghanistan.
Why are we there? It's another Vietnam.
I don't really know. I think it's
Well,
purely
we're there because of
political.
oil. That's the only reason we're there,
Yeah.
for the oil.
But the thing is, the army's being stretched so much, and when our lads come back, and our lasses, they come back, they're not getting support. They can come back with a leg blown off, an arm
Yeah.
blown off, they're not getting support.
You say that. My nephew come to visit me yesterday, and he's just back from Iraq.
Yeah.
And he was talking about his experiences out there, and he agrees it's just another Vietnam.
Yeah.
It's going absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
Our soldiers aren't supplied with the relevant kit. Our military vehicles are old. They're not given the right boots. They have
Yeah.
boots that melted in the sand.
That's right.
And What's happened to our military hospitals? There's no proper
No,
military hospitals in this
absolutely.
country.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
You can come back from Iraq, as you say, with a leg blown off or an arm blown off, and be put into any hospital that
Yeah.
there's a space in this country on a mixed ward.
Yeah.
You could be next to somebody that absolutely hates what you stand for,
Oh.
and they're getting verbal abuse.
Yeah.
And you come back into this country from Iraq and you find out that there's the same people here on benefits that you're fighting in Iraq.
Yeah. And
What's going on? But don't you find it scary that we're not running our own country anymore?
Oh yeah.
We can't set up our own trade agreements. If we wanted to trade with India, we can't.
Yes.
Unless we go to the European Commission and ask them.
That's right.
Now, they're saying they want this federal state of Europe
Yeah.
with one president. So what happens to our own monarchy? That's gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
All of a sudden we've got this dictatorship that can't be voted out. We never voted them in. We can't vote them out.
Yeah.
So we can't elect a government in. We can't get them out. We're a dictatorship. We've lost our democracy. The people have lost their right to vote in this country.
I just wish the young people could look a little bit more into what's happening here. When you were saying about the laws, apparently in the last 10 years, there's been something like 3,000 laws. 3,000, that's a lot of law. It was 3,000, not 300. But whatever it is, a lot.
I think that's per month.
Oh,
Not over the
it is.
last 10 years.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
There's thousands a month that are coming out. Trivial things that you wouldn't even give a second look to.
But
It's
it-
absolutely crazy.
Well, if-
And the ones that are going to affect everybody at the moment that people don't realise is the powers of the European police.
yes,
They can just come straight across the English Channel and arrest you in your own home
Yeah.
and take you back to Europe for
Yeah.
something as trivial as a motoring offence.
yes.
And there's nothing anybody can do
That's
about
right.
it. Are people aware of that?
No, I don't think so.
They want to scrap our trial by jury.
Yes,
We're now innocent. Sorry, we're now guilty until proven innocent.
yeah.
Who gave that away?
Well, they've given away virtually in Europe, because what you just said about coming over from Europe, arresting us here, habeas corpus has gone out, because habeas corpus gave you the right to have an injunction to know why you've been arrested. But you could be taken back to a European country without knowing why, and you could languish there in the prison there for at least a year without knowing.
We thought we were living in a free country,
Yeah,
and we're not, are we?
no,
We're living in a dictatorship.
that's right.
It's becoming a police state.
So do we want to join a club that's going to disintegrate? There'll be hell to play. Financially it'll be ruinous. Or shall we stay out and be like Norway? Because I think that within the United Nations and people generally around the world, they still, in a way, respect the British, and I'll use the word British,
Yeah.
people. They still respect us. And I think if we were to behave and continue like the Norwegians, we still got some of the North Sea oil, we would have our fisheries back, and we still have our trade, and we are a trading nation. We've always been. But like you said, coming back to the laws of Europe, how do you get on if you're a young company starting and you find you've got this many laws to wade through to see are you legitimate? I mean, it must be crazy. It's enough to put anybody off wanting to start a business.
Yeah, but I can't think of a positive thing for staying in Europe.
Yeah, no,
If we're in
absolutely.
Europe to trade with Europe,
Yeah,
we don't need to be part of a European Union to do that.
no,
We've got New Zealand, Canada, America, all major countries in their
Yeah.
own right
yeah,
that freely trade
yeah,
with Europe, but they don't pay over £14 billion a year for the privilege.
that's right.
Why do we have to pay 14 billion a year just to trade with Europe?
They never broach these sort of questions. They won't tell you the real truth. And of course, as I've said, the Prime Minister has now said it's the way that the individual governments are prepared to spend their money. And it's when you say, hey, hang on, what is really their money? It's my money they're spending.
And if you look at what's happening in our lives today, we're being controlled 100%.
Yeah,
We've got post office closures, 2-week bin collections, CCTV cameras. We're more taxed in this country than any other European country, and it's all coming from Europe. We're being controlled by people that are unelected, totally corrupt, and we can't vote them out.
yeah.
So they've got to wake up and they've got to listen. It's as simple as that before it's too late.
But
Otherwise, they're going to never wake up from this nightmare that's happening now. They're going to never wake up from this nightmare that's happening now. They're going to never wake up from this nightmare that's happening now. They're going to never wake up from this nightmare that's happening now. They're going to never wake up from this nightmare that's happening now. They're going to never wake up from this nightmare that's happening now. They're gonna never wake up from this nightmare that's happening now. They're gonna never wake up from this nightmare that's happening now. They're gonna never wake up from this nightmare that's happening now. They're gonna never wake up. They're gonna never wake up from this nightmare that's happening now.